Welcome back to the more YouTube channel. It's Chris back with my rant stroke thought of the day. And oh my word, as Mick McCarthy once said, you think it can't get any worse?
It can.
It certainly looks like it's about to get worse. If you believe what you're reading, what you're hearing, certainly from journalists like Craig Hope, and he's not arguing with Simon Jordan, which I thought was very funny, by the way. Big fan of Craig. I remember before I had a pint with him. He's a top bloke, but the face on him when he was talking to Simon Jordan was actually quite priceless, to be honest. But if you haven't seen that already, go check it out. I am hanging off social media, certainly after the latest development, which is all about Benjamin Sesko, or Benjamin SES-NO, potentially for Newcastle United. If you believe all the noise that's coming out, it's coming out of a lot of journalistic sources right now. It sounds like the player himself favours a move to Manchester United. United, as old Goldbridge would say. He's already tweeted something and said, Newcastle should just bow out and let us take it from here. Ugh, as if he's handling the negotiations personally himself. Oh my days, honestly. It drives me nuts, social media these days. It really does. But apparently, Benjamin Sesko is favouring a move to Manchester United. Now, there's a couple of ways to look at this. And they're probably both true, to be fair. You can look at it and say Newcastle haven't done enough to convince the kid to sign for us. We've got Champions League football. We're supposed to have this exciting project. We've got one of the most exciting managers in Europe. We've got some brilliant players. We've got Sandro Tonali, Bruno Guimaraes, we've got Anthony Gordon. We've just signed Anthony Elanga. We've got Sven Botman. You know, we've got a lot of top European talent. That's not even counting Alexander Isak, who sounds like he wants to leave the football club. So they haven't pitched that right to the player. Have the number 9 shirt, son. Make yourself a legend. Play in the Champions League. Haven't pitched that to him either. Because Manchester United are still swinging the old dick from years gone by that they're Manchester United, come and sign for us. And you got to remember, a lot of these young lads like Sesko grew up when Man United were dominating football. And that name does still carry a bit of weight, whether we like it or not. And that could very well be the case with Benjamin Sesko here, or Sesko, as it's pronounced, I believe. I got told off for getting it wrong one time. But Newcastle are still in there. They're still fighting. And it sounds like, well, it was 50-50, but it's possibly even 70-30 in favour of Manchester United now, if you believe what you hear. Now, this, again, would be Newcastle getting burned, getting spurned by a transfer target. And you just have to wonder what the fucking hell is going on with the recruitment team, honestly. What is going on? I'll get into our grumpy number 14 in a minute and what it might mean for him. But going back to the targets themselves. So Sesko and Wissa were the two top targets that were after. Now, we know Wissa is pissed off and he won't play for Brentford again, which I don't really agree with. I think the Brentford fans deserve a little bit better than that. He could still train. He could still play in pre-season games. He feels like he's been done over by this gentleman's agreement. Put it in writing. Wissa, don't just shake hands and play it by there. But I still think that deal will happen. I think Wissa will be a Newcastle player by the end of the window. I think they're just going to haggle over maybe another 5 or 10 million quid more. And at the minute, Newcastle are fucked. Newcastle need a proper striker to come in. You know, whether it's to replace Isak or play alongside him, they need a proper striker to come in. And Wissa can get goals in the Premier League. He can play right across the front three. And if they've got to pay a little bit more from than they intended to initially, I think they're going to have to do that deal and get that done. Because by the looks of it, Sesko favours Manchester United. Now, this could change. Newcastle could come in and blow it out of the water. They could throw more money on the wages, potentially. They could offer him something more. They could maybe put a release clause in that tells him he can leave, you know, for a lesser fee if a Barca or Real Madrid come in for him or some shit like that. They could do something to sweeten the pot, but I just worry about the negotiating powers of whoever's in charge of player recruitment right now. I think it's Andy Howe and Steve Nixon, because poor Eddie's trying to sort the fucking team out as well, who just lost to the K-League All-Stars, by the way. Some dreadful performances. I know it was roasting hot and really hot and humid, and they're halfway through their season. This is our third pre-season game, third defeat as well, by the way. But some rancid performances really were. Joe Willock hurt himself again. Injury looked bad, but apparently it's not so bad. But he was fucking shit in the game. Let's get it right. Awful. The tackle that he put in that went down and held his leg was weak as piss. You know, Joe Willock hasn't looked like a Premier League footballer for the past 2 years, and he's still in this squad now. We're relying on him as a key member of the squad. Asula proved that he's not ready. No matter what people say, he's not ready to lead the line. We've got Villa 2 weeks on Saturday. We've still got to play Spurs on Saturday in the pre-season games. We've got Villa 2 weeks on Saturday. And at the minute, our main talisman does not want to play for the football club. We are in serious trouble for preparation for that particular game. One of the bright sparks in the game was some of the young'uns that came on. I thought Alfie Harrison showed a bit of hunger when he come on. Harrison Ashby looked quite good. And the new Korean lad that was signed, Song Soo, I think it is, looked absolutely brilliant. Some quick feet tucked inside, lovely ball control, moving up and down the pitch. And maybe that kid might hang around the first team, to be fair, because he looked like he had a little something. I'd like to see him against Spurs for a little bit longer against Premier League opposition. And if he does the same shit that he did in this game, then maybe this kid could be part of the squad moving forward into the the Premier League season. But going back to the main story, Newcastle really have to push hard here to try and knock Manchester United out of the way and get Benjamin Sesko. But if he favours United, Man United that is, beg your pardon, don't give me a yellow card. If he favours Manchester United over the real United, Newcastle United, I've saved myself there, then we need to move on. Who do we move on to? I've seen links to Muñez from Fulham. Sorry, no, not good enough to replace Alexander Isak. Not good enough, nowhere near the level. Ollie Watkins, really good player. Is he as good as Alexander Isak? No, he's not. But Wissa and Watkins, that might have to do you. Alexander Isak's made it clear he doesn't want to play for Newcastle anymore. I see these ridiculous stories saying he's agreed personal terms with Liverpool. Well, fucking whoop-de-whoop, Alex, if you have, pal, because you ain't going anywhere until the transfer valuation is met. And if we don't sign a proper number 9, a real grade A striker that can come in and give us that focal point, that goal threat, that quality that we're missing while losing Alexander Isak, he's going fucking nowhere, in my opinion. And the club would be crazy to let him go somewhere. What you're going to lose, you're going to get 130 to 150 million quid right now if you sell him. If you keep him and he goes next summer, what you're going to get, maybe 80 million, 90 million, 75 million, then you have him for the full season. He'll have to get his head right. It's World Cup year. He's got to score goals. He's got to get himself in that squad. He doesn't want to disappear off the radar for football. He wants to still score goals and get an even bigger move next summer, which I think he can. I think he can get a move to Barcelona when Lewandowski gets moved out of Saudi Arabia or the MLS. He can get that move. If Alexander Isak gets his head right and knuckles down and plays for Newcastle again, he will score goals. But a lot of the fans might never forgive him for the shit that he's pulled, if you believe everything that you're seeing and hearing. Houses up for sale, is the injury real, all that kind of stuff. As far as the party line is, he's injured and he's training at home, but if we don't get Sesko and we don't sign a proper grade A number 9, even if we get Wissa through the door, I still don't think they'll let Alexander Isak go. I really don't think they can. I think it'd be suicide by the football club. We've had such a disastrous window so far. We brought in 2 players. Anthony Elanga's a good player. Aaron Ramsdale, not particularly great. Trafford was the number 1 choice. They fucked that up, but he's going to have to do. He's a goalkeeper that can use his feet. He's 27 years old. If Eddie can somehow get him back to the levels he was at when he got his move to Arsenal, then maybe we've got a good goalkeeper on our hands for a hefty loan fee. And fuck right off with that stuff, by the way. The mainstream media, 4 million quid, no chance. Man City were paying 10 mil, Chelsea were paying 10 million quid loans for João Felix. I didn't see them call that a heavy loan fee, but that's just the Newcastle bias agenda in the media, isn't it? But going back to this main situation, I just cannot see a world if Newcastle do not get Benjamin Sesko, who seems to be the only game left in town. I don't think Victor Osimhen's available. He's certainly not been mentioned to Newcastle. I think he signed for Galatasaray. Gyökeres has gone to Arsenal now. There is no other big name centre forward we could get to come in and do anywhere close to what Isak's doing. So if we don't get Sesko, for me, Isak has to stay. But let's wait and see how the club are going to play this. Can they win the Sesko race against Manchester United? Let me know in the comments below what you think. And if we don't get Sesko, would you think Isak should stay or will stay? Always like to hear from you. Smash a comment in, like and subscribe. Keep it evermore. We'll be back with some more banter soon. This window has been fucking rancid. We need something in this window. We've got Spurs at the weekend. I'll try and jump on and do a quick reaction to that. Couldn't really watch the game today because I was busy working, but let's see what happens with Spurs at the weekend. Could it be 4 defeats on the spin before the Cellar Cup? Very possibly, but we've got to try and keep a positive outlook, guys. But we need the striker situation sorted ASAP. I think we're going to find out in the next 48 hours where Benjamin Sesko is going to be, whether it's Manchester United or Newcastle United. And if that's the case, for me, Isak stays. Let me know what you think. Like and subscribe. Have a belter. We'll see you later.
Heroes celebrate. They have done it.